Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about 10 tiny habits to stay organized. On my channel I talk all things mindset, habits and mental health, so if that sounds good to you and you like this video, please subscribe. The smallest things can sometimes make the biggest difference because they have a knock-on effect and they are so small that they're so easy to integrate into your day straight away. They have a disproportionate impact. This is like an overarching one, but don't rush. Give yourself time to slow down. And that's kind of the point of all of these like micro habits, these small things that we can do. It's like taking away some of the stress or some of like the agitation out of all of these things gradually accumulating, and it's giving you time to just chill and just breathe. I really recommend the book The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry because this talks about slowing down in a lot more detail, and it also has like a spiritual element which I really appreciate, and it's just really interesting. Even if that's not you, it still I think gives like a different perspective, and it's a really helpful book. I like to think of giving myself time and slowing down. It is to me like self-care to keep things organized, because then it's like a gift to my future self, right? Like my future self will be grateful that I did this. And so whenever I'm feeling like, oh, do I have to do this? Like, do I have to clear up now, or do I have to make my bed again? But it's like, no. Future me is gonna be so happy that I've done this and that I don't have to worry about it anymore. And just getting more into that mindset of like slowing down, not rushing around. It can be easy like going through a list like this it's all about like getting things done. But if we're not fully present during these things, well then what was the point? The next tip is to wake up 15 minutes earlier than I need to. This is kind of annoying because as much as I try and get up early and do things, I think I am a night owl, especially in the winter as well. I find I need more sleep. So the idea of waking up earlier than I'd planned does not always appeal to me. But whenever I implement this, I'm always so glad I did, because it just gives you a little bit of a buffer in the morning to read for 15 minutes or like mentally prepare for the day before you get up and have to start doing whatever you need to do, whether you need to have a shower or go for a walk or get started making your breakfast or whatever. It just gives you a bit of extra time. It really will help you stay on top of things. The next thing to be more organized is to have a space for everything and have a very specific space. So don't just be like, this jumper, when I take this jumper off, that goes in that cupboard. Be like, no, that goes on the right of the cupboard. Like if you organize your clothes from dark to light, so then something like this would go towards the darker side. Have a very specific place for everything. So I have right here a candle that is now living there. Have a space for your perfume or where you always keep your laptop. Be very specific. This goes next to the flowers, or this goes to the right of this drawer. More than you realize, it will help you keep spaces clear. I just realized this was still charging. The next tip is to keep everything charged. I used to be someone, and kind of still am in some regards, you could do like a charging schedule, but something like this is my tablet. I watch TV on that in the evening, so then I don't have to keep my laptop on. And just keeping this charged, I don't know if you know what I mean about like having an agitated feeling when things aren't charged. I have the same thing for my camera batteries, or when my phone gets into battery saving mode and 20%. There's just something that makes me like tense up, and it's just agitating if things aren't fully charged. But just being on top of things and being like, oh yes, I've not charged my camera batteries in a while, they probably need to be charged. Or this, like, it's getting down to 30%, let's just charge it. It's something that has an impact on my mind. Like it takes some stress away somehow. Like I'm less agitated because I know that everything is sorted out. So this is a really helpful tip. The next one is to have a shower schedule. This might sound weird, but for me, I can sometimes struggle with executive function. So having a schedule for basic things like showering, it can take any of the thinking out of it for me, and I found it to be really helpful. And it does shift throughout the month. Like if I'm going for a run in the morning, I obviously want to have a shower after a run, but generally I do find it easier to have a shower in the evening, because then the next day I can just get up and get on with my day straight away, as opposed to like then procrastinating having a shower almost, and then I might not end up having one until the evening, and it just ends up being like this thing that snowballs for no reason, right? But having a schedule has really helped me with this. It helps me stay organized, it helps me feel more like myself, and it just helps take away some stress. The next one is one of my favorites. It's to do a 10-minute tidy before bed. Gretchen Rubin talks about this in her book, The Happiness Project. I also love her book, Happier at Home. To be honest, I love all of her books. But in The Happiness Project, she talks about every evening, do a 10-minute walkthrough of your home or your room and just look and put things away. So we mentioned earlier about having a specific place for everything. This is where it comes in really useful, because then in that 10-minute tidy, you don't have to think about anything. You're just like, oh yes, I know that this perfume goes back on this coaster over here, or I know that I need to put this jumper in this specific place, or this shirt goes back in the middle of the wardrobe on this specific hanger, right? Like, you know where to put things, and it's a really therapeutic and meditative activity. You could put on some soundtrack in the background, like the Succession soundtrack I quite like listening to. You could put on some classical music, you could put on a podcast, or just in silence, put things in their place. I find it to be quite a soothing thing to do, just putting things away, because it means as well, when you wake up, everything is tidy and put away and you can just go on with your day, making things easier for yourself. Kind of viewing it the same way as like a closing shift. I don't know if you've seen people make that comparison, but that, as someone who used to work in a fast food place, you wash everything up, you clean everything, you put everything away so that when the next person comes in the next day to open, everything is ready to start again. The same principle applies with doing a 10-minute tidy every evening. Next thing that helps me stay organized is to write a physical to-do list. Yes, sometimes I will make a checklist on my phone. I know there are plenty of apps that you can get as well, and if one of them helps you, brilliant. Please keep doing that. But for me, I find the best thing, I'm trying to look for my to-do list now, the best thing is to have a physical to-do list. So I will do generally one for the week at the moment, because sometimes I will be too ambitious and be like, I want to get all of these things done in one day, and then I feel bad because that's not gonna happen. Making a list like this of things that I need to get done during the week, and then once I've done them, I can just highlight them, which means they are done and I don't have to think about them anymore. This is game changing for me. I much prefer writing a physical to-do list than having it on my phone, because as well, this can then move around with me. I can put this in my bag, I can move it over here if I'm working over here, I can have it on my desk. I mentioned my desk there. Keep your desk tidy. This is more of a mental thing in terms of, if I then see that the space is clear, it gives me permission to relax almost. I'm like, okay, that is sorted out. I'm ready for work tomorrow. It's okay, like the desk is tidy. As well, it is somewhere that clutter can accumulate, so it's helpful for me to just be like every evening or every couple days, put things away, whether it's like a post or things that like admin things or makeup or whatever. There's just gonna be stuff all around. Camera equipment, like every so often, putting everything away, keeping that space tidy and trying to keep it clear is really helpful and helps me feel on top of things and organized. Make your bed every morning. I've got into this habit now and it's kind of second nature. And this is the goal, right? To do things repeatedly and to just build a habit around it so that you don't even kind of notice. You're just like, oh yeah, I need to do that. It's not a big thing. It's not like something that you have to force yourself to do or procrastinate. You're just like, yes, I do this every morning. So making your bed, it's like something you can accomplish straight away, right? You're like, oh yes, I've done that. And that's what all of these little habits are about. It's like doing small things to build momentum so that then you feel able to tackle bigger things, because you're like, oh, I've already achieved this. I've already done this thing, so I can now move on to something else. For keeping your clothes organized, I don't know if you do this already, but I've been doing this for years now. Roll, don't fold your clothes, because this lets you see all of them at a glance and you'll be like, oh, I've forgotten about that t-shirt, let's wear that, I've not worn that for a while. So you get more wear out of all of your clothes because you can actually see all of them. Or even if you don't get more wear out of them, you're at least aware that things are there and you're like, I've not worn that thing for a while because it's right at the back. So what I tend to do, when I am putting clean clothes away, I will put them at the front, so then I can see what are the most recent things I've worn, and anything that is towards the back, that means it's not been worn for a long time, and I can then look at it and be like, do I still need this? Is it a seasonal thing? Like, why haven't I worn this, basically? And then think, can I get rid of it? Or do I need to make that more of a priority to wear? Roll your clothes, don't fold. Obviously it depends what it is. You can kind of do this with jeans, but like certain trousers, if you were to roll them, they would not look nice. So just use a hanger for them. Obviously, like, common sense rules apply here, but especially for t-shirts or jumpers, I find it really helpful to have them rolled and stacked vertically, as opposed to just having them stacked like this, horizontally folded. If you would like to hear more about slowing down, I will leave my video. You don't need a winter arc, you need to slow down, because I mentioned the ruthless elimination of hurry. We talk about that book in that video, so I will link it on the screen. You can be organized, you can like do all these habits, but the point is to like give yourself back time and not just like force yourself to be productive all the time. It's not realistic and it's not helpful and it's not what we're meant to do either. Please remember to be kind to yourself, do what you can, and slow down a little bit. God bless, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.